Hey everyone, this is Ryan from Mazama Sporting Goods once again to bring you another product feature. It's been quite a while, but we're coming back in style here with the Sig Sauer P365XL. Now, this is probably one of the most popular concealed carry pistols on the market currently. We have a really hard time keeping them in stock. However, these things are a fantastic choice for anyone looking to get into their first carry pistol, or even for someone who's been doing this for years and years and years and is just looking for something extremely size efficient. So let's go ahead and run down the features, what this thing comes with, and talk about why this is worth your consideration. Now, the P365XL is the slightly larger version, as its name would imply, of the SIG P365. So we've got a slightly longer barrel here. The barrel of the 365 would end where the frame ends on the XL, and then we have a slightly longer grip. So we have a factory capacity of 12 rounds, and with the option of adding larger capacity magazines that stick out a little bit further. The only ones I know of currently are 15 round magazines. At least the models that we carry here at Mazama's come with factory night sights. Now this one happens to have a SIG Romeo 0 red dot on top. Not all of them are going to come that way. At the very least, they're going to come optics ready, so maybe without the optic but with an optic plate, with also a night sight in the rear. Night sight meaning that you have tritium vials in both the front and rear sight that are going to glow in the dark, so whether you're shooting in the daylight or after dark, you're going to have some way of referencing what your gun is pointed at, which I think is a pretty important thing to have. Sticking with the slide, we do have both front and rear slide serrations, so whether you're wanting to rack your slide as normal or do your little fancy press checks in the front, you do have some texturing already out of the box to aid you in that. It's perfectly effective, good texturing. Maybe you're not going to use that front serration, but at least it's there and it's unobtrusive while still being functional. Now the slide controls here, i.e. the slide lock and the other notch here is your disassembly lever, are only for right-handed users. You can obviously learn to use them as a lefty, but it's only going to be on the one side, not on both. The magazine catch, however, is reversible, so while it's set up out of the box for right-handed use, you could swap it to left-handed use if you so chose. One of the other things that the XL does differently from the standard 365 is it gives you a straight trigger with a little tab at the end. Some people really prefer the feel of these flat face triggers. It's going to really come down to personal preference. I can tell you I personally, from my own subjective opinion here, like this flat trigger. Even though it has the same pull weight mechanically as the standard curve trigger, you perceive it to be lighter because of the extra leverage you get. Perfectly functional, a very clean, crisp trigger for a striker fired gun of this size. Probably one of the better triggers in this style of gun on the market. Now, one of the other things that I really like about this pistol is the grip texturing. The grip texturing is aggressive enough that I feel like I have a positive grip over it. However, it is not so aggressive that it's going to be uncomfortable to carry concealed. Some companies have a harder time striking that balance, but I think SIG did a really good job with this grip frame. Now, the biggest appeal of this thing is the size of this grip. It's really not something you're going to be able to appreciate looking through your camera or looking through my camera here at your video screen. This is something you have to be able to tactily feel yourself. But considering that this holds 12 rounds of 9mm with the potential of, again, adding more to it, this feels smaller than most subcompact pistols on the market that have a capacity of 6 to 8 rounds. There are a lot of other pistols on the market that I think this effectively made obsolete. So we've talked about the features of this pistol, but what does that all add up to? How is this thing to shoot? And I have to say, I really like the 365XL here from SIG. It is, again, extraordinarily size efficient. I really can't emphasize that enough because, again, it's something you really have to feel to be able to understand, and especially if you have familiarity with other similar pistols on the market. Again, the size efficiency you get is phenomenal. And while most times when you go to a smaller gun, you're going to get more recoil, this is a very manageable gun to shoot. Even for my girlfriend, who has very small hands, has a hard time getting her hands on my Glock 19, even some of my CZ pistols, she was able to very comfortably shoot this thing and handle the recoil better than some of the other small pistols that I have in my collection. One of the other benefits, or potentially drawbacks depending on your perspective, in aiding the shootability is the inclusion of this SIG Romeo 0 red dot. For a lot of people, red dots are a little bit more intuitive. There is a slight learning curve in being able to adequately track that red dot under recoil and find it off the draw. However, once you get used to it, I personally believe that there is a massive benefit to having the option of adding a red dot to it. And for those of you concerned about the fact that you have to remove your rear sight, if you're using a optic like the Romeo 0, how this one came out of the box, it does have a rear sight kind of formed into it. So even if my dot were to die or disappear on me, get washed out under the brightness of the sun, I'm still going to have sights there to reference to be able to aim and fire this pistol. Now, this 365 coming with the red dot is going to be slightly more expensive than some of the other options on the market. However, you can cut the cost by a couple $100 by going to the non-optic equipped version, which again still allows you for that red dot. Or if you want something smaller altogether and you're not too concerned about the red dot, you can jump down to the standard 365. And if you still like the 12-round grip, you can add a 12-round magazine to that one and have a very similar feeling grip. That being said, it's also worth mentioning that SIG has really emphasized the modularity of their striker-fired pistols. So like with the 320, where I have the option of changing the grip modules, I can do the same thing with this. So if I wanted to add a shorter grip to this one and run the 10-round factory magazines, I can do that. If I had the 365 and I wanted the XL style grip, I can also change out to that. So you really are not limited by this thing. It really, again, sets you up for success right out of the gate. So if you're interested in checking out one of the 365s or 365XLs from Sig Sauer, definitely come down to Mazama Sporting Goods. We are a licensed dealer in Eugene, Oregon. However, with the current climate of gun purchasing right now, it would behoove you to check ahead before you make the trip down to make sure we actually have these in stock, because as with everything is hard to keep in stock, but especially the SIG P365s and 365XLs, they're particularly hard to get, and when we do get them in stock, they don't usually last very long. So again, maybe check ahead before you come down if your only goal is to check this out. We do obviously have a pretty substantial line of other products, so if you just wanted to shop around, get a feel for what is out there on the market and see things for yourself, it is still definitely worth the trip. So if you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below in whatever video format you're watching this, or you can contact us through our website for more information.